How to Approach and Flirt with a Woman. Chapter 1. Introduction. Hey, it's Carlos Xuma here from carlosxuma.com, and that's with an X, not with a Z, carlosxuma.com. Hey, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how to approach and flirt with women. It's one of those topics that I know a lot of guys out there are looking to develop some skills. Let's face it, for the last, 30 or 40 years now, we've gone through kind of a crisis. These guys have. We've lost a lot of the skills, or at least a lot of the training that we need to be men for women. It's just not there. And the unfortunate part of that is that it's because a lot of our fathers weren't there for us. I was pretty fortunate. I had a dad until I was about 15 or 16, and then he split from my mom and went off on his own. But I got very fortunate that I was taught a lot of the lessons that were necessary to be a man and just show a woman a man out there, because that's what she wants. Okay, this is one of the critical distinctions, and you're going to hear it from me many, many times, and it's an important thing to remember, and that is that women are not looking for a feminized guy. Okay, we may have been brainwashed into this over the last several years, and I don't want to get political here, but the fact of the matter is that women are not attracted to feminine guys. It's just not natural. It's not interesting to them. They're not looking for that. They want polarity. What is polarity? Polarity is that feeling that the other person has the opposite charge from you, and as a result, you have that magnetic attraction for each other. You have that zing, that special chemistry, right? That's what we're looking to do. We're looking to create chemistry with women. And the fact is that you can do this very easily. It's very easy to create chemistry with women if you know the rules. And that's what I'm going to teach you on this disc. We're going to talk about the rules of how to get yourself to the point where you feel comfortable approaching and talking to any woman that you see, and you're able to flirt with and start that attraction with her on a moment's notice. You're going to be prepared. You're going to have the ammo in your little bandolier. You ever watch the Bugs Bunny cartoons and you see, what is his name? Speedy Gonzalez, that little mouse, the little Mexican mouse, and he's got that band of bullets that goes across your chest and an X. That's called a bandolier, right? And it's a ton of ammo, and it makes sure that he's ready for any shootout. It's like those old West movies, right? Well, in order for you to feel comfortable going into an approach situation with a woman and talking to a woman and flirting with her, you want to feel solid. You want to feel like you're grounded. You want to feel like, you've got that firm sense of confidence in yourself, and then you can transfer that confidence to her because she needs to see it. How many times have you heard a woman wants confidence in a man? Well, I'm here to tell you that as much of a cliche as it is, it's true. It's very, very true, and it's something we cannot ignore as men. It's absolutely the most important thing we can demonstrate. The cool thing is, you are naturally confident, all right? This is something I want to make sure you understand. There's an inner game to approaching women, and that's what we're going to talk about first. The inner game of approaching women is very simple. It's down to the fact of you've got to feel confident enough that you can walk up to a woman, start a conversation, and get good results. If you don't feel that confidence that you can get that result, then of course you're not going to want to walk up and talk to a woman. You're going to try to avoid women. You're going to avoid situations where you might even meet women because you're very hesitant. You're very uncertain about the outcome that you might get. All right? It's a very important fact. I realized this a long time ago, and it's part of how I train guys today and how I've done it for years in boot camps and seminars and through my many programs. One of the most important things you can do is to really establish that firm sense of confidence in yourself. And that confidence that you feel in yourself is very simple. It's simply not having that voice in your head that's trying to undermine you, that's trying to doubt, that's trying to make you feel uncertain, unstable. Because that's what confidence is. Certainty. Confidence equals certainty. If you have a pen and paper handy, and I encourage you to get one because you should be taking notes on this program. If you're listening to this while you're in your car, hey, that's great too, but make sure you stop at some point and listen to this program when you can take some notes and really fully focus on the things I'm saying, because this is extremely important. You must have a sense of certainty about life. That communicates confidence. That's what women are looking for. That's the secret ingredient of confidence that women are looking for. And certainty is very simple. It simply means that you lack those doubts that most guys are running around there with, right? When you go out the door, you're doubting that you can make it to work on time. You're doubting that you look good enough for a woman to be interested in you. You're doubting that you have enough hair or the right kind of car or the right income for a woman to be interested in you. And let me tell you that the fact is that that's not what women are looking for at all. All she's looking for is that sense of promise, that sense of positive accomplishment, otherwise known as ambition. Okay, that's what she's really looking for there, ambition, and that cool sense of, you know what, no matter what comes my way, I can deal with it. That's it, my friend. That is all you need to communicate confidence. Now, the fact is that you have that going on in your head all the time, except for what is really getting in the way there. That's right. It's that voice in your head, right? I used to know about this firsthand. Let me tell you, I had that voice running nonstop. As a matter of fact, it still pops up in my head. What does that voice say? Oh, dude, you can't do it. What are you trying to do that for? Oh, man, you can't possibly be thinking about walking over there and talking to her. You kidding? She doesn't want you. She wants some good-looking dude out of a television show or a movie or something. That's right. You're not good looking enough. You're not muscular enough. You're not tall enough. You're not smart enough. You're not eloquent enough. You're not this. You're not that. You hear this voice all the time, don't you? And it drives you crazy. Well, here's an exercise you can use to drown it out. And this is the most important one, and I'm probably going to give you on this, so I want you to really pay attention to it. I know you're going to be listening to a lot of information about the hows. I'm going to give you what to say and all that, but really, this is the most important thing, because you can say any words to a woman, and they really don't matter. I've proven this with guys. I've made them walk up to women and say stuff like, I hate clowns, and open up a conversation that way, okay? And that actually is a really good opener, by the way. I hate clowns is one of the best ways to open women, because first of all, most people do hate clowns. They're just kind of creepy, and it gives you kind of a funny little start to a conversation. It's so different than what she's normally hearing that she'll grab onto it. She'll want to go with that, okay? So literally, anything you open up with can be the start of a conversation. But if you're not pulling it off with a certain sense of certainty about yourself, confidence in who you are, that feeling that just behind you is a mattress, that if you got pushed over, you'd land, no problem. You could bounce right back up off that mattress, not a bruise or a scuff on your body, and you could go at it again and again and again. When you've got that sensation, when you've got that feeling behind you, there's nothing else in the world like that. And it really doesn't matter what women think. It doesn't matter what guys think. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. And that's the kind of independence that you want to demonstrate to women, because women are looking to men to be the source of grounding in their lives. See, women don't run around with a sense of confidence that they can do the same things that guys can do. Okay, this is nothing chauvinistic at all here about how men and women are. Women are equal to men in every way. And yes, I totally support all that. But you got to realize that women are not the same as men. It's a very important thing to understand, and we've been kind of brainwashed out of that. We've been brainwashed to think that men and women are the same. We have the same dreams, the same desires, the same ambitions, the same drives, and that's complete crap. Okay, it's complete nonsense. We have completely different desires in certain areas. Sure, they're the same in some, but different in others. And here's how they differ primarily. A man's primary focus in life, and you should be writing this down, by the way, this is very important. A man's primary focus in life is competence. Competence in what he does and the demonstration of confidence in what he can do. For a woman, her primary focus in life is maintaining connections, relationships with other people. Okay, let me say that again. A man has to feel like he can do stuff, that he can accomplish things, that he can get stuff done and get it done well. A woman has to feel like she can maintain connections with other people. Now, this goes back into a whole bunch of evolutionary psychology that we don't need to go into right now. I want to get going into the meat of this content here, but these are important things to know. So let's go back. I want to give you one quick exercise for you to start really nullifying out that voice in your head that gives you so much grief, that doubts, that destroys your confidence, okay? Because once you get rid of this voice, you feel confident. You are naturally a confident guy. But when this voice comes into your head, it basically talks you down. It starts belittling you. It starts making you feel less than what you are. Okay? That's the true nature of confidence. The true nature of confidence is that you are naturally confident all the time. What gets in the way is that little voice in your head that's telling you you can't, you won't, you shouldn't, shame on you, things like that. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of one message that your subconscious or even your conscious mind uses to undermine you when you want to approach a woman or talk to a woman. And I want you to write that message down. It could be something like, I'm not funny enough. I won't get her interested. Okay? Then I want you to write the opposite side of the dialogue as if that angry little clown said that to you. And he's standing right in front of you. He says, dude, you can't go over there and talk to her. You're not funny enough. You wouldn't have the slightest idea of how to get her interested in you. Now I want you to play the counterpoint to that voice. I want you to talk him down. I want you to totally destroy that clown's opinion. And literally, you got to see him as a clown too, because it's going to help you to not take the message seriously and be able to kind of come back at him a little bit. Okay? Geez, I'm using clowns quite a bit in this little example, aren't I? All right, so what would you say back to him? You might say something like, dude, what are you talking about? Look at you. You're dressed in those floppy shoes. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just totally pulling this out of your butt trying to make me feel bad about myself. Oh, sure, I know you're probably the voice of the kids that I grew up with. When I was in third grade, they'd always make fun of me because I had that funny haircut. But you know what? You're not around anymore. You can't possibly impact how I feel about myself. And you know what? For another thing, yeah, I do know how to get this woman interested in me. I do know how to make her more interested. Carlos showed me. Okay, so that's what you got to do. You got to sit there and you got to totally talk this voice down and out of your head. And you also have to see him start to deflate. His little clown frown starts to turn upside down. His little clown frown starts to get darker and darker, and he starts to slump and his shoulders droop over. And you realize that, yes, you're talking this guy down to nothing. All right, that's what you got to do. That little mental exercise, if done properly, just close your eyes, take about 5 minutes to do that. It will have a dramatic impact on how you hear those voices when they come into your head and try and stop you from doing what you know you need to do, okay? And it gives you a very solid habit for overcoming some of the negative messages that have been programmed into your head. Very big and very important because your inner game will impact your outer game. How you feel about yourself will have an effect on how she sees you when you walk up and start talking to her, okay? Very important. So I spent enough time on that. Let's jump into the content, the meat of this in the next chapter where we're going to talk about overcoming your approach anxiety. Okay, so now we're going to overcome approach anxiety. First of all, what is approach anxiety? Well, it's a naturally programmed pattern of behavior and belief in most men that stops us from walking up and talking to beautiful women. Okay, it's very simple. It's something that's been programmed in since who knows when. A lot of people say it's something that's been programmed into us from our biology back from a time when if we were to be rejected by any person in the tribe, it could mean that we were being banished from the tribe completely. And that's the worst kind of fate. It's even more scary than death to most people. This is why we have this fear of talking in public, because talking in public exposes you to possible humiliation and being ostracized or being cast out of the tribe if you said something stupid, right? I know it sounds illogical when I say it like that, but really on a gut level, that's what we're feeling emotionally. And our emotions are very closely tied to our gut instincts and the way we behave around people. So you can't ignore it. So approach anxiety will hit you. When you see that beautiful woman across the store there and you want to go over and talk to her, you're going to be hit with this overwhelming sensation. It could form as nausea in your stomach. It could be your muscles tighten up. It could be you get a little dizzy. It could be your eyes water, or you start to feel a little bit woozy, or, any number of physical symptoms, but it will manifest itself as physical symptoms. Just recognize that. Here's what you can do. First of all, you shouldn't tighten up your fists. What I want you to do is I want you to touch your thumb to the tips of your first two fingers. Okay, that'll keep your hands from doing anything nervous or twitchy, and it'll give you something kind of grounding, a sensation that you can fall into and not worry about. Then I want you to throw your shoulders back, because that's going to help you take on a confident physique. Your physique is inextricably entwined with your overall attitude. In other words, your body language actually can influence how you feel on the inside. So throw your shoulders back, bring your chin up a little bit, inhale deep into your stomach several times. Very slowly though, not fast. We don't want to hyperventilate here, okay? That's how you get yourself physically prepared. Now, do you walk over and just talk to her? Well, you could if you were warmed up. It's just like any other exercise you do out there. You can't just run in and start playing the game, right? You see football players, they know how to warm up, get ready to go so they can avoid injuries. Same thing is true for us. Guys that go out there and approach have to do a little bit of warming up. Here's my 3-step method. Very easy, very, very quick and easy to follow. Number 1 is you should go out and warm yourself up by talking to some hired guns. Hired guns are the people that work at stores, okay? Specifically, attractive women that work at stores. This is why it's great to go to a mall and just flirt with the women that work in these stores. You go in and you say you're looking to buy something for your sister or for your mom or for somebody in your family, and they will help you out. They want to help you because here you are, this clueless guy in the store, and they will want to help you. Hired guns are a great way to warm up because, let me tell you this, they have to help you. They have to react positively to you. They can't reject you. It's their job, okay? And they will be much more open to you. Okay, that's just the way it is. So number one is to go out and start talking to some of those hired guns, people that work at the places that you go to. Or even, if you're going out to a bar one night, make sure you're making friends with the female bartenders or the female wait staff. They should be on your side right off the bat. It lends this feeling of comfort in the environment because you want to feel like wherever you go, it's just like your living room. Okay, you have to have that level of confidence and comfort that you would have sitting in your own living room. What if there was a beautiful woman in your living room, right? You were having a party and there was this beautiful woman there. Would you have as much of a difficult time going over and talking to her than if she was out in some crazy, wild, loud bar somewhere? Probably not, because it's your turf. It's your home turf, man. You can handle it. Right? So hired guns, great way to do this. And it has that side effect of making you very comfortable in what might otherwise be an uncomfortable environment. Step number 2 in this method is the complimentary gift. Put yourself into a giving mode. I want you to go out and I want you to give compliments to people. You can give them to women. You can give them to men. Give them specifically to people that you really don't have any interest in. Give them specifically to people you don't have any interest in. Now, why would I say that? Because this is a very important distinction. Most guys will only approach and talk to women that they're interested in. And what they do is they set up these 2 different situations in their head. There's the women they would talk to and they want to have sex with, and there's all the other women. And all the other women, they're easy to talk to. I can walk up and talk to them all day long, but I never do. So what I do is I set up this situation where I feel an immediate tightening in my gut when I see a woman that's attractive, because now it suddenly matters more than any other time. But the fact of the matter is I haven't been approaching anybody else any other time, right? We tell ourselves that it would be easy to talk to the woman that's a little bit overweight, or that older woman that works at the cash register at the Safeway or the grocery store that we go to. But the fact of the matter is that we need to be practicing all the time. Approaching women is a 24/7 habit for you. It's your life. It's your lifestyle. And when it's your lifestyle, it's actually easy to do all the time. You don't just turn off this thing called approaching women. If you think that way, you're going to make it much more difficult for yourself. So go and start giving out compliments to women. The more women you talk to, the better. Okay, because we are gift givers. We want to get ourselves in that mode of giving all the time. The more you give to women, you're going to find the more positively they will respond to you. Now, you don't give compliments in the way that says, I'm complimenting you so that you will give me your phone number. Okay, because that's give to get. And when we become transactional like that, women sense it and they pull away because they sense you have an agenda. An agenda is the worst thing to have when you're approaching women because they can sense it right off the bat. So get that agenda out of there. You don't need to get anything from her. The more you don't need to get anything from her, the more you will get from her. That's just the irony of this whole situation. Okay, so you got to let go of this need for an outcome or to get something from her. Now, step number 3 comes in when you're finally tired of walking away empty-handed and you're ready to move on. In other words, you've basically gotten bored with just talking to everybody and you're ready to start maybe moving it a little bit further. That's the best point, when you feel like there's this positive tension that pulls you into wanting to have a longer conversation. All right. So step number 2 was giving a compliment, walking up to a woman and saying something really nice like, wow, you know what? I just noticed those shoes you've got are fantastic. My sister would just love a pair like that. And you just walk away and that's it. You give and you walk away and you let it be that. And you're going to be amazed because women will actually grab you and stop you from, walking away from these conversations. But just pay her a quick compliment, very sincere. It has to be heartfelt. It cannot be fake. Give that to her and walk away. It's like you handed her something, a little gift, and you walked away. Okay. The walk away part is important because then you don't get hung up on, will I be rejected? You're not going to let yourself be rejected. You're going to actually eject from the situation before she has a chance to. And believe me, what woman would not want that? She loves the flattery of a guy walking up and talking to her, especially one that knows how to say something that makes her feel good. You'll make her day. And that feeling alone gives you a positive reinforcement to walk away from. So step number 3 then becomes bridging that to a conversation. When you're finally tired of, walking away empty-handed and you want to finally make this conversation go somewhere, you can stick around a little bit. Give her that compliment, but then bridge it into a real conversation with her. You could ask her a question. Wow, those shoes, those are great. My sister would love a pair like that. Where did you get those? And she'll tell you, she'll give you, the place where she went to, maybe some crazy little shop down in downtown San Francisco where she found them. And you can say, wow, that's pretty cool. Wow. All right. Thanks a lot. And you walk away. Okay. Because maybe you don't have enough energy or enough stored up conversation to keep that going, or you wouldn't know where to go with it. But the next time You will. You'll immediately have the sensation of, okay, I keep walking away from these conversations. Now I've got to have something more to say. And you will. It will start to come to you. You'll start to realize how you can bridge from that into another step in the conversation, which is, okay, maybe you finish up with, so where did you get those shoes? And she tells you, and you say, wow, cool. And where is that again? Yeah, you know what? I should go over there and get it because her birthday's coming up. So what are you doing out today? Were you out shopping, or did you just buy those shoes today? You know, you can kind of bridge into that a little bit, and she will offer up a certain amount of energy too. Okay, she'll give enough energy to keep the conversation going when she's interested in. Now, I want you to remember something here. This goes back to that inner game and overcoming this approach anxiety. You got to remember your own value going into the conversation. If somebody were to come up to you and say, here, I'm giving you a check that I want you to give to that woman over there. And this check is for $1 million because she's won the lottery. I just want you to go over there and tell her she's won the lottery and give her this check for $1 million. Okay, now would you have any problem doing that? No, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? It'd be cool to walk up to somebody and hand them a check and say, guess what? You just won $1 million. You get to be like one of those commercials on TV, you know, where they film them going up to the door and the people go crazy out of their mind. You get to do that to a woman. But here, think about it this way. When you walk up and approach a woman, what you have to give her as a man is worth way more than $1 million. Over the course of the lifetime that you two might be together, think of all the fun times you have. Think of all the experiences, the things that can't even equate to money. They couldn't be bought by money. Does that make more sense now? You have much more than that check to give to her. So you should feel excited about giving that energy, giving that possibility to her of taking part in your cool life. I'm not kidding here, man. You got to think this way, because when you believe that, when you really deep down believe it, and it doesn't take much to believe it, if you can believe that, then you're going to find yourself wanting to talk to women, sharing your value with them. That's what it's all about. Approaching and talking and flirting with women is really as simple as sharing the value that you have to give with her. And you're going to want to do that to every woman that you come in contact with when you realize what a positive reaction they will actually give you. Right now, you're sitting behind this barrier going, oh my God, women aren't going to like that. They're not going to like me. They're not going to be interested in me. They're not going to laugh at me. They like that. They're not going to think I'm cool. We have this belief system we created that has no evidence whatsoever. It's been totally fabricated in our head, and we got to get it out of there. So remember, man, you can go out there and give her a lottery check that would totally make her day, make her week, make her year, make her lifetime if you really want to. Some of the other things you can do, by the way, to overcome approach anxiety are to do some speed dating events. It's a really good, easy way of overcoming this, oh my God, I got to talk to a woman, because you're basically hustled through and forced to talk to a bunch of women in a very short period of time. And it's actually a blast when you get the hang of it, because you're going to be like, wow, it's not so bad after all. And it gives you a little laboratory to test out things with. And the best part of all, they all have to accept you. They all have to react positively, and they will. They want to. They're there to meet guys. It's so freaking simple. Another exercise is to go online dating. Online dating also gives you a way to kind of abstractly approach women, you know, with an email or with a connection online. It's very easy. You can plan what you're going to say a little bit more. You can think it out, not too much, but you can think it out enough to feel confident. And then you just do it over and over and over again until you get it good. Now, let's talk about, in the next chapter, what to say to women. Okay, so what do you say to a woman? Let me tell you this. The number one rule is, it's not as important as how you respond to what she says. Let me say that again. What you say is not as important as how you respond to what she says to you. Because that's what she's really looking for, is the interactivity. Guys are so worried about what to say when they first walk up and talk to a woman. It's not the first thing out of your mouth. Like I said, you can open up with just about anything. Stuff like, I like salad, or I hate clowns, or today looks rainy. You know, anything will work if you use it with the right amount of certainty. All right? So some rules here are, whatever you say to a woman, leave the bragging out. Okay, no bragging, no trying to boast or try and pump up your value in front of her in that way. That doesn't work. Okay, you got to relax a little bit. You got to let her see your value through what it is you say. The second rule is no interview questions. Don't ask her, you know, how long she's been in the area. Don't ask her how long she's lived there, any of that stuff. Don't ask her what her job is unless that's a planned part of the conversation. And I will give you a way of turning that into a very, very strong connecting conversation with her. Let me give you a rule here, though. You can't bore a woman into being interested in you. Let me say that again. You can't bore a woman into being interested in you. That's just not going to work. You've got to keep the energy up in the conversation. So number one thing is your energy has to be good and happy and excited. If you find yourself trying to be too calm, too relaxed, too laid back, you're not going to get anybody interested. You're not going to be interested in yourself, so why should she? Okay? So you got to bring the energy up a little bit, but at the same time, stay relaxed. Stay cool, calm, and collected. Use that finger touch principle that I taught you, as well as deep breathing to stay relaxed and cool. Okay, because relaxation will keep your mind relaxed, which will allow you to figure out and remember the things that you can be saying in conversation. So let's give you some standard things to say. First thing is, how do you walk up to a woman and open her? Well, I could keep telling you that it doesn't matter, but I know you want some words to say. So I'm going to give you my standard opener, and this one works like a champ just about everywhere I go. It's very fun, very easy to do. Okay, you walk up and you say, hey, you know what? I was just on my way out and I felt like I just had to come over here and let you know, I really think you've got this fantastic energy about you. And I knew if I didn't tell you that, I'd be kicking myself all day long. And that's it. There you go. There's an opener for a conversation. You can walk away at that point. You can just smile, turn, and walk away. And she'll probably stop you because she'll want to get into a conversation after that point. But then you can take it for as far as you want after that. You can start things like, and by the way, my name is Carlos. And you put out your hand. Okay, you can introduce yourself. It's that easy. It really is that simple because you're paying her a very light compliment, very indirect compliment. It's not like you're telling her, oh, you're so pretty. You should avoid that. That's another one of the rules, by the way. Don't compliment her on her physical appearance. Oh, you've got such gorgeous melon breasts, or you have the kick-ass legs of the century. No, those are not going to do, my friend. You can't use that stuff. You've got to compliment her on something that is not obvious. That makes you stand out all that much more. Compliment her on something that is not obvious. I'll even give you a little bonus flirt opener here. It's one from my good friend Lance. He uses this one and it's great. He calls it his hip pocket or a back pocket opener. It's really easy. What you do is you walk up to a woman, you start out indirectly by saying something like, hey, you know what time it is? And before she can say anything, you smirk and say, oh, forget that. You know what? I don't need to know what time it is. I just need an excuse to come over here and flirt with you. Okay, it's that easy. You can just say something like that. And what it does is it actually kind of points out the situation that, you know, there's obviously this sexual tension that's going to go on when a guy walks up and talks to a woman. And there's always that question in her mind of, why is he talking to me? That's the big question in every woman's mind when you walk up to her is, why is this guy talking to me? And the sooner you can answer that, the sooner you can get her to relax and open up to you. Okay, very, very simple, very, very easy. The next thing is you want to use some sort of a standard bridge in the conversation. It's basically a way to connect however it was that you open the conversation into natural conversation. You want to just bridge into talking with her, right? You don't want to keep it up on this weird energy level of, hey, I just came over to say that you have a great energy about you. Well, now you have to bridge it into something normal. The easiest way is just to bridge into where you are right now. Look at your situation. Are you in a store? Are you in a coffee shop? Are you in a bar? Whatever the situation is, use the situation as a way to connect to real conversation. So do you really like the coffee in Starbucks, or is this just the closest place to you? So do you always come to this bookstore? You know, things like that will use the current situation to bring up the conversation, and then it allows you to connect. And what you want to do is listen for how she responds to you, because that will give you the seed of your next question. She'll give you an answer, and you listen for keywords in there that point out what to say next. It's that simple. It really is that easy, and you don't have to go very long with this. In fact, in your first conversation with a woman after you've approached her, you should not be talking to her very long, because the longer you sit there, the more chances there are to make a mistake. Now, I want to give you the 5 most common mistakes that guys make when they go out and approach a woman. All right? Number 1 is they put too much energy into the interaction, so they look like they need a little too much, right? After you started a conversation, you've got to give this impression that you're about to walk away from her. And what this does is it lets her kind of drop her guard a little bit and think, oh, great, he's not here just to hit on me and try and push me for a phone number. It feels a lot looser, okay? So you really got to make it feel very casual. Mistake number 2 is you communicate that you've got way too much interest in her before you even talk to her. In other words, you're like looking at her, glancing at her, hovering around her. But instead of actually starting a conversation, you stare and you talk about this chick with your friends, or maybe you get another drink before you finally walk up and start the conversation. The longer you wait, the worse it is, because girls can actually sense when a guy starts to look over at her. Okay? They can. They know. And it makes you look more and more like a coward the longer you wait. So give yourself just a few seconds and then just jump in quick. The faster you go, the better the reaction. The third mistake is that you don't interact with anybody that she might be with at that moment. In other words, women sometimes and very frequently don't go out alone. You should be saying hi to and introducing yourself to whoever she's with. Doesn't matter what environment it is. Pay attention to that other person. Okay? Because it's actually better to approach the person she's with first and then bridge your interest into the girl that you're really interested in meeting. Mistake number 4 is getting very fidgety, acting kind of insecure and nervous around her. Okay? You got to keep that stuff under control. That's why I encourage you to keep yourself physically relaxed, and that will keep you from communicating that desperation and the lack of experience. And what ultimately it shows is low status, because the guy that doesn't have a lot of experience walking up and talking to women tends to have, in a woman's mind, low status. So you don't want to communicate that at all. And the last big mistake that guys make is they basically let the conversation die out. They don't come to a close. They let it basically bore her out of the conversation. All right? And that's why you've got to have a strong close. And I'm going to talk about that in the last chapter. Next up is how to get the attraction going, how to actually flirt to get her interested in you. So how do you get attraction started? What is it? Well, it's pretty much flirting. That's what flirting really is. I think when you come right down to it, the term flirting really means expressing socially acceptable sexual interest in the woman. I think that's what it really comes down to. Okay? There's different kinds of flirting too. There's very direct flirting versus indirect flirting. Now, what most guys tend to do is they become very indirect when they're around a woman that they're interested in. In other words, they don't want to communicate too much interest because what could happen? That's right. She could reject you. She could not be interested. And then you feel like you risked too much. You felt compromised. And let's face it, nobody likes rejection, right? Nobody wants that. It's just not what we're looking for. Well, let me tell you right away. The best way to conquer this whole approaching women and flirting with women thing is to approach women in a way that you know, deep inside, deep in the core of who you are, she can't reject you. A woman cannot reject you. Now, the number one way you know this, of course, is the fact that she doesn't know you. How can a woman who doesn't know who you are reject you? Well, I know that might sound cool to say, and you might actually buy into that for a few minutes, but there's that part of us that says, yeah, come on, Carlos, let's get real here. Doesn't matter what. If she isn't interested in me, I feel rejected. And I hear you, man. I totally do. So that's the game, isn't it? To not feel rejected when you might be in the situation of her not being interested in you. You can try and overcome it with logic and rationale all you want, but the bottom line is that how you feel is how you're going to walk away from that situation. So it will always be a battle between your rational, logical mind and your emotional mind. Your emotional mind is going to say, yeah, but dude, oh God, I feel so, and you're going to be able to overcome that rationally, constantly, time and time again, persistently. You have to be able to come back and fight that voice in your head and be able to say, wait a minute, no way. She didn't reject me because she doesn't even know who I am. And you know what? It doesn't matter that she rejected me because that's one less woman I have to deal with before I find the one who is into me. So I got to keep running these numbers, man, because she's out there. It's just a matter of getting to her. I mean, think about it. If you were to approach and talk to enough women, don't you think at some point you'd eventually meet the woman of your dreams? I mean, it's got to happen. You talk to enough women, it will happen. You will get enough dates. You will get enough second dates. You will get enough relationships to be able to get the woman that you want. It's just a matter of persisting and not letting yourself get all down in the dumps because one woman wasn't all that into you. Big deal. Remember this one chant, this one mantra that I can give you. Next. Okay? She's not interested in you. Next. She didn't respond positively towards you. Next. She is interested in you and wants a date. Next. Great. You finally slept with her. Next. It's next. It doesn't matter if they're positive or negative. You're just constantly keeping things flowing, moving forward. Because the second you stop, inertia sets in and you're going to settle. You're going to get into that down in the dumps sensation of, oh, I'm never going to meet her. Yes, you will if you keep it moving. So let's talk about attraction really quickly. What is the nature of attraction with women? It's very simple. It's something called push-pull. All right? What is push-pull? Push-pull is the back and forth energy exchange between a man and a woman that gets her interested in you. Okay? It's the basics. It's called push-pull. Very important to know. Push-pull is really the foundation, the slab of bedrock underneath flirting. If you get very good at push-pull, you can basically drive women into a state of frenzy for you. It's really kind of weird how it works. Now, the basic idea behind push-pull is being able to go hot and cold, back and forth, over and over and over again, okay? And the fundamental here, the key is to keep it playful, okay? You can easily take push-pull way too far by making a woman feel that you're just being mean. What you got to do is you got to give interest and then take it away. Give interest and then take it away. And the best part about using push-pull is that it keeps you pretty well balanced and grounded. You see, a lot of guys out there are just being way too nice, or maybe they're just being too mean because they got some sort of angry streak about women, right? They're either kissing her butt or they're just trying to act distant and aloof, and it's not working, okay? Either one of those will wind up giving you a really bad result. But you got to use both. When you use both, you kick total ass, okay? And a friend of mine said it like this. He said, how did you get your dog to play with you when you were a kid? Well, basically you chased him and then you ran away from your dog and he chased you and you went back and forth and back and forth. That's the same thing. Okay. It's basically push-pull on the most basic superficial level that you can possibly define it. You flirt with her, and then just when she thinks she's got you in her grips, you kind of pull that rug out from under her by teasing her or pulling away your interest. All right. Or you start out by teasing her about something. Just at the brink, before you go too far, you throw a compliment back in there so that she understands you were just flirting. And the message that she gets on a subconscious level is something like, you know what? I'm kind of digging you. I'm like you. No, wait a minute. You're awful. You're bad. Wait, you know what? Maybe I do like you again. I'm not so sure. I don't know. Well, you know what? Actually, you're kind of cute. Oh, no, you're kind of annoying me now. You see that? That's just going back and forth, and that's how she gets drawn into it. That's how sexual tension is created. Now, the basic easy formula for this, and this is how flirting works, and this whole push-pull thing is, say something nice to a girl, and then just kind of work it into a tease. And then find a way to say something a little bit teasing or playfully mean, and then turn that into maybe a brief little compliment. Call her out on something, tease her on something, and then maybe follow up with some body language that says, you know what, I'm not trying to push you away, I'm just trying to mess with you a little bit. Or you get really nice with her and you get some rapport going, and then you break that tension with some kind of jerky little comment that undermines the compliment. Now, again, this is something that's not natural for guys, because as guys, we're constantly seeking women's approval. We're constantly trying to get women to like us, and that's so unattractive and so unsexy to them. All right? Very, very uncool. I'll give you an example of this. Let's say this girl walks up to you and says, hey, you know what? I just got these new shoes. What do you think? And then you act in this like you're saying something out loud, or you're thinking out loud a little bit, and you say, what should I say that is most likely to get her to totally dig me? Oh my God, those are the most fantastic shoes I've ever seen. Good Lord, where did you get those? And then she's going to say something like, oh, you're such a jerk. Now, what do we do there to pull back, right? We push. Now we're going to pull back. We'll say something like, look, you know I love the stuff you buy and it's totally hot. I don't even know why you ask me. Okay, you see what I did there? I gave her a little compliment, kind of a veiled compliment, but it's in there somehow, lightly. Another example, you're at a bar and she's drinking a really, really dark beer, and then you realize she's drinking a Guinness. And you look at her and go, oh my God, you're drinking a Guinness. I think I love you. You want to go to one of those chapels and get married by Elvis? And she looks at you and goes, oh my God. And you say, oh, wait a minute. You're actually just sipping that beer, aren't you? You're just one of those chicks that wants to look cool drinking a Guinness, but you're not, are you? You're a poser. Oh my God. I almost got suckered in. Forget it. The wedding's off. As a matter of fact, I want my half of the money now. You see what I did? I gave a little bit of a pull at the start where I gave her a compliment, and then I pushed her away at the end with a tease. That's what you want to do. Back and forth and back and forth. The more relentless you can do this, the more effective you will be in attracting women, because that's what attraction and flirting is all about. Flirting is that back and forth, playful energy that lets her know that you might be interested in her, but at the same time, you're willing to pull that interest away at a moment's notice. It's that simple. So one of your stable tools for flirting is teasing. Learn how to tease. Tease gently. Okay? You don't want to go too far right away, but you know what? It's okay to go too far. If you mess up, guess what? You won't break her. You won't break her. She's not going to fall apart, and you won't have to glue it together again. And even if you do screw up an interaction with a woman, guess what? There are over 3 billion women on this planet, and a significant portion of them are single and looking for a guy. So you've got plenty to go through. Don't worry about it, okay? You're in a world of abundance. It won't kill you. Now, another thing you can use is something called cocky humor. And that's where you just make a comment that's kind of like, yeah, I know the world totally digs me. So what? It's really what it comes down to, okay? So let's say, for instance, you're in a bookstore or even a coffee shop. Let's say you're in a coffee shop and you're standing in line and you recognize that there's this pretty attractive woman behind you and you're looking up at the board and you kind of glance back at her as she's looking down at her cell phone, or maybe she's just kind of glancing down, and you can look at her and go, oh my God, were you just staring at my butt? Ah, you're like the third chick today. Why is it women do that? Can't you just love me for who I am? And you can kind of take it to a little bit of an absurd angle there, but it will get her laughing and it will get her, again, interested in you. It starts that tension, that sexual chemistry. You can make a comment, like if she asks you what you do for work, you can say, well, I'm a hand model for wristwatch commercials. Watch this. And you do your best little pantomime of pulling your sleeve up to check your watch. Or you can say something like, I'm a Taco Bell inspector. I make sure all those tacos are as nasty as possible. Okay? It isn't hard to use this kind of humor out there. You just get a little bit cocky, and then you let her know that you're really joking, okay? You do it with a kind of an absurd edge to it so that she doesn't really take you seriously. And this is funny to a woman. All right, now we've covered flirting to the nth degree. I want to get into how to close this thing up and get you walking away with a phone number or more coming up in the next chapter. All right, so you approached her, you talked to her, you flirted with her, you got something started. What do you want to do here? How do you want to close this up so that you can walk away a happy man with her phone number in your tight little grip? Well, it's actually pretty easy to do. First rule is always end this interaction on a high note. Always, always, always end it on a high note. In other words, don't sit there hoping that she's going to tell you her phone number, just give it to you and say, oh, here's my phone number. It's not going to happen like that. And a lot of guys, unfortunately, will also fall into the trap of not wanting to ruin it, right? You get a good conversation going. She's responding positively to you. Oh my God, now it's time to ask her for her phone number. And if you do that, she could say no, and that would ruin everything. It would be ruined. Guys hate ruining something like this, don't we? Guess what? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. If you do your job right, if she's reacting positively to you, that's the time to end it. Get her phone number and get out of there before you make a mistake and really screw it up, okay? No, seriously, that's what you got to do, is end it on a high note so that she has that tension or that positive expectation that, oh my God, this wasn't long enough. I want to do more. I want to see this guy again. That's what you want. Okay. So what you do is find that point as soon as possible. You got to stop the conversation and say, okay, it's been great talking to you, man. I got to get going. And you start to walk away. You literally turn and start to walk away from her. Now, what's going to happen there is she's going to be left with this feeling of, oh my God, he didn't need anything from me. He wasn't going to come over here just to bug me or hit on me. That is so cool. And then you turn back and you say, hey, you know what? I'm just thinking we might want to continue this conversation again sometime. Give me your cell phone number. Okay, there you go. Boom. You've just created a perfect close, because she's going to be like, oh, phew, that would be cool to give this guy my number because it was a cool conversation. He flirted well, and there's no reason why I couldn't see myself hanging out with this guy. Okay? The only reason she can't is if she's already in a relationship, and she will let you know that. Don't worry. That won't be your fault. You'll get over it. If she says, I got a boyfriend, well, then guess what? You gave her a great interaction. You got some practice, and now you get to walk away and do it again and get even better at it. Believe me, man, with this skill, when practice becomes perfect, you are going to have the time of your life because you'll have more women to hang out with than you know what to do. I'm telling you that I had, at one point, 6 dates on one Saturday. Okay. And I'm not particularly like some sort of Don Juan DeMarco here or anything like that. I just managed to pull it together, finally got my game good, talked to enough women where I got the numbers rolling, and I had 6 dates in one Saturday. And that was when I said to myself, damn, dude, I think I'm finally getting it. And that's when life will change for you. And it doesn't take that much. It's easy to do. Okay. So back to closing on a high note. Make sure you find that high note when she's laughing or she's, having a good time. Great. Time to end it. Time to get going. You say something like, you know what? I got to get going. I got some friends waiting for me, but hey, it was great talking to you. And then you turn right back to her and you say, hey, you know what? I know we're going to want to talk again sometime. Give me your number. I'll give you a call sometime. All right? Or just say, hey, just give me your cell phone number. Or you could say, hey, give me your email. Or you could say, hey, give me your Facebook address. That one is actually really good. So those are the 3 you want to go for: phone number, email, or Facebook. A lot of women find the email less intimidating to use. You can also do the Facebook one now. Whatever social media online cool tool comes up next, I'm sure you can use that. But get some method to get back in contact with her. And then Don't have to tell her what you're going to do. You don't have to say, hey, you know what? I'll give you a call sometime. You don't even have to tell her that. Leave her wondering. The number one rule of show business is just as applicable here. Always leave them wanting more. Then she's going to want to have time with you. She's going to want to have that date. When you call her up and you say, hey, you know what? I was just thinking, you're pretty cool. We should go out and hang out sometime. What is she going to say to that? If she's had nothing but a positive experience with you, of course she's going to want to see you again. What sane person wouldn't? That's how you set it up in your favor. Remember, the number one rule of meeting women is simply this. A woman is never really interested in being your girlfriend. She only wants to know what's in it for her to have you as her boyfriend. Let me say that again. A woman is never really interested in being your girlfriend. What she wants to know is, what's it going to be like for her to choose you as her boyfriend? All right? See, the big mistake that most guys make, and you can totally avoid this now, is that most guys try to get the woman to give her phone number to him without giving her a reason to do it. After all, she probably gets, dozens of guys that ask for her number every week, but none of them can answer this big question that's going on in her mind. Why should I give my number to you? What's in it for me? That's what a woman is thinking. What's in it for me? If you give her a fun time, she will want to give it to you because she knows there's more of that up ahead. Now, I'm going to throw on one little bonus here for you that I know you're going to totally dig, and that is I'm going to answer for you that big question, when do you call her? Okay, you got her phone number, you closed on a high note, you did all the right things. Now, when do you call her back? Do you wait a day? Do you wait 2 hours? Do you wait a week? What is the real answer to this question? Well, I'll tell you right now, it is not waiting too long, all right? If you met a woman very briefly on the street during the daytime or just in a coffee shop or a bookstore or something like that, and you hit it off with her in a fairly short period of time, that means that you have an even shorter amount of time to call her back in because she's going to lose that vibe. Over time, she's going to cool off. And if she cools off too much, she's going to forget about the fun time she had with you. You want to catch her when she still remembers what a great time she had talking with you. And when she does talk to you and still remembers that, she's going to want to go out with you again. Okay? But if you wait too long, she's going to cool off too much and you're going to lose it. So for any casual 5-minute encounter or approach that you may make, I would say call her back either that evening or at the very latest the next day because you don't want her to forget what a cool dude you were, right? Who knows? Maybe she gave her number to 10 other guys last night at a bar, and all those guys are about to call her too. Do you really want to get lost in that jumble? Again, we're talking about maintaining that energy, that excitement that you gave her, and making her remember it. Now, if you want to know how the complete picture works with conversation and how to talk to women, not so that they just fake it to be polite, but they really listen to you and connect with you on a deep level, I want to teach you all of my best techniques to talk to women. Powerful strategies so that you can hit a grand slam in every conversation you have with a woman. I mean, there was a time when I used to hate women. I mean, don't get me wrong here. I love the ladies, but I used to just hate what women did to me. What I hated was that I couldn't figure out what it is she wanted from me when I was talking to her. I'd finally work up that courage. I'd finally do a lot of the things I talked about here, but maybe I didn't know how to make it go somewhere productive with her. I didn't know how to take it to the next level. Not just on approaching her, but when I went out on a date with her, or I was on the third or fourth date. How do you take it to the next level? What is it you say to her? What is it she really wants? Because the fact is that talking with women and knowing what to say to women is everything in your success with women. In fact, I've got some more important things that you need to know about talking with women, and especially 4 deadly mistakes that guys make when they talk to women. I didn't have the time to cover everything here, but I've got a special report for you that I want you to go see right now. I want you to go to talktowomen.carloszuma.com. That's talktowomen, one big word, .carloszuma, CARLOSXUMA.com. talktowomen.carloszuma.com. It's also on the front of the CD that you're playing right now. And I'll get you more information on how to create a total blueprint for what to say, how to say it, how to take it to that next level, and get any woman interested in you. In fact, I'll even tell you about the 6 secret key elements of conversation and how to talk to women. Again, just go to talktowomen.carloszuma.com.
What's up, Carlos? All right, so you really are the shit. I seriously, I can't even explain it. Not only helped you with me with women, but you've helped me with pretty much my life in general. Because I seriously, like, wasn't really satisfied with anything that was going on. Nothing was making me excited. And then I found you on the internet, started watching your stuff. You were sending me emails. Bada bang, I'm ready to go. All right, well, thanks, man. I'm just letting you know. Changed my life.
Hey, the results speak for themselves, don't they? This is Carlos Xuma. It's been a pleasure getting you these secrets and hidden techniques and tactics that you can use to approach women and flirt with women. And here's to your success with women. Live that alpha lifestyle and stay alpha. Now, a lot of guys have wanted to know what my secret tip is, my secret body language tip for getting a woman to respond to you positively pretty much every single time. And it's actually very, very simple, and I'm going to teach it to you right now. One of the things you have to understand is that between women or among women, one of their most commonly used techniques is what I call a level set or an emotional level set. If you ever watch a group of women when they're talking together, you'll see that if one of the women thinks that she's offended or hurt the feelings or somehow negatively impacted any of the women in that group, the first thing she's going to do is reach out and touch her. She's going to touch her on the arm. She might touch her on the shoulder. Typically, it's on the arm or on the hand. Okay? If you watch a woman, you'll see this is pretty consistent. And what is she doing when she's doing this? Well, physical touch tends to ground us, first of all. It reconnects us, and for women especially, it does this with guys sometimes too, it emotionally level sets us. In other words, it makes sure that the other person doesn't go off on an emotional wild spike that we can't predict, or if we've hurt their feelings, that person will suddenly get angry. Because once you're in contact with a person, it's very hard to get angry with them, especially with women, okay? Guys are kind of a slightly different situation because sometimes when we get into physical contact with another guy, we let that escalate anger. Okay, so if we're feeling angry, sometimes physical contact can exacerbate that. But on the whole, if it's done correctly, and women know this because they use it on guys all the time, especially when you're in bars or clubs or any of those particular situations, you'll see women use this on guys a lot too because they know it works. They reach out and they touch somebody and they stay in contact just long enough to kind of re-equalize all the emotions there so that nobody gets too heated, nobody gets too angry, nobody gets too upset. It brings people back in connection with each other. This is a very valuable body language tip that I cannot emphasize enough. You need to be using this. For guys, it can be very awkward because, again, we're not used to this kind of contact with other people. Guys are brought up to, roughhouse, to push people around really hard or, have that football player kind of mentality because we play with other guys and guys play with other guys pretty rough. But when we do this with women, we've got to maintain a little bit of a softer edge and a more sophisticated edge. And you also may have to come up against some of your social programming with respect to how you feel about touch and the whole physical contact and what we call kinesthetics. Kinesthetics is the study of physical contact between people. Okay, now there's two different kinds. There's the distance you put between yourself and another person, and there's the physical contact that you actually make with another person. There's two different kinds there. One's called proxemics, that's how close you get to a person, and the other one is kinesthetics, that's the actual physical touch. Now, my secret little tip is very simple, and this is how it works. When you're about to approach a woman, the first thing you want to do to her, before anything else, before you even open your mouth, the first thing you want to do is touch her gently on the forearm. If possible. Okay, it's not always possible, and that's fine. But for the most part, if you have the opportunity, and in most bars and nightclubs, you have that opportunity to reach out and just touch her gently. Now, if she's standing, the easiest way to do this is to reach and touch her elbow. Okay, because it's the middle of her arm, it's very inoffensive, and unless she's got her arms crossed firmly in front of her chest, it should be fairly easy for you to do. Okay, just a gentle touch before you say anything. Because what that's going to immediately do is it's going to ground her and it's going to connect her to you. And if it's done delicately, and again, it's something you have to calibrate a little bit. You don't want to roughly grab her. You just want to touch her gently. And only for about 1 second to 2 seconds at the most. Okay? And if you think about it, 1 second of contact is actually a very long time. Think about how long it is. If you use the hippopotamus method, 1 hippopotamus. Okay? That touch is just enough to get her to level set her emotions and get her to suddenly pay attention to you. That's another part of what this does. It gets her to really focus on you and what you're about to say. That's how you get her to respond positively pretty much every single time. I have yet to see this fail with women. It's just amazing how fantastic it works. And even in the middle of conversations, if you feel like maybe you've offended her, or she's suddenly either turned off, or just she doesn't know how to take what you just said, you touch her, and then you pull your hand back, and then you say whatever it is you're going to say. Okay, so you maybe said something that was offensive to her about the school she's going to, and then you put your hand on her arm and you go, oh, hey, you know what? I've got plenty of friends that go there. I don't want you to be offended about your school. And she'll respond positively to that. Another part of this technique is you want to be very relaxed when you do it. You want to feel relaxed, and you want to touch her with a very relaxed touch. You should also make sure your hands are fairly warm, not too cold to the touch, and definitely not sweaty. So, do that little hand wipe thing on the side of your pants. If you're one of those people like me that gets occasional sweaty palms, make sure your hands are fairly warm. And just touch her gently and pull your hand back really quick. This is also a good point to mention that women are also very positively influenced by a guy who has soft hands. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're a guy like me that likes to work out in the gym, occasionally build up those calluses, well, that's fine. But you can make your fingertips and the surface of your skin on all the other areas of your hand fairly soft. Just use a little bit of Lubriderm or some hand lotion. Use unscented. You don't want to use something that's too girly, but that will really make your skin feel soft, and she will notice this. Women notice the texture of your skin, and that's very, very appealing to them. So there you go. There's my no-nonsense, quick, secret body language tip to getting a woman to positively respond to you every time you approach and flirt with her, and it really does work. It's one of the most effective techniques you can possibly use, and it's just so deceptively simple, most guys won't even think of it. But if you do it correctly, it will work. Another question I get really frequently is, how do I know that the girl I'm talking with or flirting with is actually interested in me? Right? You want to know when she's finally turned that corner and started to feel a little bit of interest in you, so that you know when to close the conversation, ask for the phone number, ask for the date, whatever it may be. Very often we call this, in kind of technical terminology, the hook point. In other words, it's the point where, like if you're fishing, that the hook actually grabs the fish and you start to reel it in, right? Well, the same thing happens with women. In your conversation skills with women, you got to know when things are starting to turn in your favor, and they will fairly quickly, and you got to be able to take advantage of it when it happens. So you can recognize this point when she's finally showing some interest in you and keeping the conversation going. The first is she starts asking you questions. And I don't mean just the obligatory questions, like having to ask you back the same question that you asked her because it's polite, right? And those are the questions we know we don't want those. We want her to be genuinely interested in us and asking us questions. So listen for questions from her that show some interest in you, above and beyond what you might expect in just polite conversation. The next would be she asks for your name. That's really important, because if she wants to know your name, she wants to get more connected with you. She wants to forge more of I guess you call it a relationship. I mean, it's anything beyond just being passing acquaintances. If she wants to know your name, she wants to become more familiar with you. Now, if a woman gives more extended or prolonged answers to the questions that you're asking her, you can also interpret that as being a very big indication of that hook point, where she's finally starting to show interest in you, and she's trying to talk her way into your approval. Okay? Her body language will also start to change a bit. She'll start to open up. If she was crossing her arms before, or if she was turned away, she might turn to face you a little bit more. She'll probably make more eye contact. She'll also be more willing to smile at you and show positive indicators like that. So those are the first hook points. After that, you're looking for the next hook point, not just interest, but sexual interest. Okay? Because the initial interest phase is where she's just enough interested to find out if, maybe something could happen here. When she's actually starting to feel attraction, sexual attraction, she's going to act a little bit differently. And here's some of the indicators for that. One of them is she starts leaning towards you. Her body language starts to move closer to you, or starts leaning towards you, as if she's literally being pulled or compelled magnetically to be closer to you. Another one would be she uses your name in conversation. She says your name as part of what it is she's saying, okay? Not just as part of the, oh, what's your name? And you give her a name, and she says your name out loud, saying, oh, that's an interesting name. Well, that's just obligatory stuff. What we're talking about here is if she actually says your name, like, let's say your name is Carlos, and she says, hey, Carlos, let's go over here and get a drink. Now, if she says that, that's a very big indicator of interest. If she's comfortable and just likes hanging there with you, even if there's a pause in the conversation where there's nothing happening or you're not saying anything and she's still comfortable with that, she doesn't act like she wants to escape, very big indication of interest there. If she asks you if you're single or if you have a girlfriend, a very big indication there. If she laughs with you and does the what we call the hit, or where she hits you on the arm and says, stop, like when you're teasing her, that's a very big indication of interest right there. Another important indication of interest is that she's comfortable with you coming in physical contact with her, touching her, maybe holding her hand for a second as you check out a piece of her jewelry, or if you happen to get into her space. You know that thing I talk about, which is proxemics. Well, if you're starting to get really close to her and she doesn't seem uncomfortable in any way with that, and she seems like she's cool with it, that's a very big indication of interest. If she shows any willingness to just hang out with you and leave her friends behind, that's also another indication that you want to look for. Also watch her for how she maintains eye contact, okay? Some women are just plain nervous talking to guys, and they just can't hold eye contact. Maybe she's got low self-esteem, but she might also be interested, so watch out for that. But on the whole, if she makes strong eye contact with you and doesn't constantly glance around, look around at other people in the room, or always looking at her friends, that's another indication of interest. By the way, there's also something here called the help me eyes. This is something I learned from a friend of mine, a female guru out there, who also talks about this. Women will sometimes make a kind of wide-eyed expression at you as a way of indicating or signaling her girlfriends, hey, I want to get out of this conversation. And you can watch for that, but on the whole, it doesn't usually happen all that often if you're doing the right things. It's just something to be aware of. Women use a lot of physical body signals, and eye contact is one of the things that you should definitely be tuned into and watching, okay? Now, if a girl's also just listening to you and doesn't seem to be tuning out, even if you're just talking about complete garbage and, you know, you're just blathering on and on, maybe you're a little bit nervous, but she still seems interested and tuned in, very good indication right there. Also, watch for head tilting. If a woman tilts her head, that's usually an indication that she's interested. Also, watch for the triangle look. She'll look from eye to eye, because we never really make eye contact with one eye to one eye and the other eye to the other eye. We always look at one eye or the other. She'll go back and forth between your eyes, and then watch when she looks down slightly. She'll look at your mouth. That's a very, very big indicator right there, because she's expressing interest in your lips, and then she's starting to think subconsciously, I wonder what it'd be like if this guy kissed me. And another big indication you want to watch out for is she's laughing a lot with you, like more than she needs to, okay? If she's not laughing at all, that's a bad indicator. But if she's laughing really strongly with you and she's just going along with the jokes, maybe even just a bit too much, that means she's trying to express interest, okay? She's trying to be a part of the fun and show you that she's interested. Okay, so those are the major indicators you need to be watching out for when you're flirting with women and talking with women. Just be observant, watch the things that are going on, and you'll have no problem after a while cultivating a really keen radar for this stuff. You'll be able to sense it pretty quickly. Most guys don't realize they have excellent instincts when it comes to this sort of thing. Watch for it, and you'll see when she's interested. And again, if you want to learn all the advanced strategies, all the tactics and techniques that I use in my conversations with women so that you can know how to talk to women pretty much anywhere, any place, without any fears of rejection or that you're going to run into that, the uncomfortable silence, or that she's going to lose interest and give you that obligatory, I need to get back to my friends. If you want to avoid the pain and suffering of that situation, then you just got to discover a few simple secrets that will make you unstoppable in conversation. Go to talktowomen.carloszuma.com. Again, it's talktowomen.carloszuma.com. No www in front of it. Just talktowomen.carloszuma.com.